Hello, Transurfer and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia, or am I Alice in Wonderland, or am I the White Rabbit, or am I the Rabbit Hole? I don't know which one I am in this equation, but today we are starting 7 days of Alice in Wonderland, similes and metaphors from the transurfing perspective. Someone in the International Transurfing Institute Facebook group recommended that I do this, and I have always sort of seen Alice in Wonderland through this kind of transurfing lens, right? It's a very transurfy sort of tale, but I never thought of doing something like this, so I appreciate the recommendation and hope you guys all enjoy the show. So 7 days of Alice in Wonderland, metaphors through the transurfing filter. So remember to like this video and comment below. My world is taking care of me to enter my daily giveaway for some of my reprogramming stickers. And if you really truly want to fall down the rabbit hole, Reality 2.0 teachable link down below. Check it out, y'all. So Alice in Wonderland, from the beginning, what happens? So Alice is sort of lackadaisically hanging out in the forest when she sees the white rabbit run by her. Now, the white rabbit, what does that represent? In my opinion, and this is all sort of my breakdown, I'm definitely interested in hearing your guys' take on this, but the white rabbit is Alice's quest for knowledge, or her curiosity, right? Or something leading her to a new place. So she follows the white rabbit to the rabbit hole, and she doesn't quite get that when she goes down into the rabbit hole, that hole only goes in one direction. So there's no reversing out of the hole, right? So as I like to tell people that find reality transurfing and go kind of whole hog on it like I did, I really went down the rabbit hole big time. I mean, I'm still falling down the rabbit hole 5 years later. So what I like to tell people is entering in to this sort of knowledge with the idea that you are going to take it and use it to transform your life and your reality. All it took me was maybe 2 days of absorbing this stuff, and I was like, okay, this is it. I know what my path is going to be. Now, knowing this now, retrospectively, of course, I did not understand that this was going to be like Pandora's Box. Once I opened it, there was going to be no closing it. So awareness is obviously a desired state of being, but sometimes I can trip myself out by sort of waking up and realizing that there is no going back to sleep, right? There is no going back to the way things were, going back to not understanding what reality is. Now, it's not that I necessarily have a nostalgia for that state, that pre-transurfing state. However, there are certain parts of being quote unquote asleep. It's like being like ignorance is bliss, right? So there's certain parts of being asleep that can, in retrospect, look a little bit warm, I guess you could say, or like comforting in some kind of odd way. I mean, now when I go out into my reality, my eyes are wide open all the time. I never, ever, ever go into a deep state of sleep or unawareness anymore, and that does kind of trip me out. So if you are new to reality transurfing, or new to the law of attraction, or new to any kind of modality that you gain a sense that it is going to be life altering, understand that you may fall into that rabbit hole and there's only one direction, right? There's no reversing back up out of it. There's no closing Pandora's box. The other thing is, when I think of this story and Alice falling down the hole, I think of her as falling. She didn't jump, right? She was curious about the rabbit, and she followed the rabbit to an extent that she actually fell down the rabbit hole. So instead of falling down the rabbit hole, this is you getting taken down a script maybe that you did not intend for yourself necessarily. Maybe you were curious, but then it got the best of you, and you sort of you became, I don't want to say a victim, but sometimes pendulums, even a quest for knowledge. This is conspiracy theories 100%, right? Sometimes you just see something that flashes on YouTube or online, and you're like, hey, that looks interesting. And then before you know it, you are falling down that rabbit hole with very little control. And I've heard this happen to lots and lots of people with all sorts of current events and weird things like the Epstein case and all that kind of stuff. So jump, don't fall, right? Don't just lose yourself and fall into the rabbit hole. So a few things that the rabbit hole represents. It represents the unknown, right? It represents where you can possibly go in your reality that has yet to be tapped. It's an adventure, it's a new lifeline, it's something different than what you are experiencing right now. It's you exiting your comfort zone. It's you evolving. It's you growing up. If it's done with awareness, because remember, we could fall down the rabbit hole with drugs, we could fall down the rabbit hole with conspiracy theories, we could fall down the rabbit hole in a relationship, we could fall down a rabbit hole getting involved with something that isn't intended for us. So it's not only necessarily like waking up to some sort of new knowledge. It can really be anything, and really it could represent a pendulum as well. So again, sometimes only one direction. Know when you're getting involved with something, and know you might not be able to just, back up out of it. And choose your hole wisely. Again, there are an infinite number of rabbit holes around us. Choose the one that you deem good for yourself and jump into it. Don't fall into it. And be cautious of the rabbit that you follow into the rabbit hole. For me, I as I was drawing this out and sort of looking at it, trying to decipher and interpret what I was drawing and what I was seeing, I'm like, oh man, the rabbit is Vadim Zeland, and I followed Vadim Zeland into the Reality Transurfing rabbit hole. Now I'm happy that I did it, and I did it with awareness, and I did it with confidence. However, again, sometimes we fall, we don't jump, and just be aware of what you are following exactly, and to where you are following what you are choosing to follow. So Alice, as Alice says in the actual story, Alice in Wonderland, it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. So once Alice hit that hole, right, and started to fall, there was literally no going back because she was falling down into the rabbit hole. But there was no returning to that old self, that old version of Alice, which was her lackadaisically lounging around the forest, not really being totally aware and being somewhat immature. I think this is a very good metaphor for us being children or young adults, or even adults that haven't evolved or matured, and being in that forest, that place where everything is mysterious and new, and we're sort of naively seeing our world, and then going down that rabbit hole is the pathway to adulthood. And as Alice learns, and this will be in some of the next lessons, once she got down to the bottom of that rabbit hole, there was an entirely different reality there, where the laws were much different and things looked much differently, and she encountered different types of beings than she did in the forest. So it's really just that break from that moment of being young, being naive, being unaware, to being an adult, being aware, and experiencing a new version of reality and all the different things that are available to us once we go into the rabbit hole. So, what do you think of my breakdown of the rabbit, the white rabbit, and the rabbit hole through the transurfing filter, through the transurfing perspective? And yes, let me know your thoughts, everyone. Please remember to like this video and comment below. My world is taking care of me, and you just might win some of these. And stay tuned for the next one tomorrow. Bye, guys.